We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon.
Hello! Welcome back to Moonshot at Home, here in the Moonshot studio at the Kennedy Center. My name is Natalie, and today our video is going to be hosted by our resident artist, Chelsea. Take it away, Chelsea!
Thanks, Natalie. My name is Chelsea, and I'm a multidisciplinary visual artist. In this video, we are going to learn about portrait photography and see examples, explore subject, setting, storytelling, and equipment, and show how you can create your own portrait photography. A portrait is an image, typically of a person, and the different elements that we choose to put inside of the portrait help us share the story of the person in the portrait. Have you ever taken a selfie? That's a self-portrait. While portraits can be drawn, painted, doodled, sculpted, collaged, today we're going to focus on portrait photography. Let's check out some famous examples. Portrait photography often stands alone as pieces of art on their own in galleries and museums, or artists of various kinds also use them as references to create their own paintings, drawings, and sculptures from. Portrait photography is foundational to many kinds of art. For instance, as a muralist, I often use reference photos of portraits to create my own painted works. Sometimes I take these photos myself, and other times I use photos other photographers have taken. Your subject is the person whose portrait you're creating, and one of the most important parts of that person is their face. Typically, when we think of faces, we think of the basics of eyes, nose, mouth, ears, but what about all of the other little details? What about their eyebrows, freckles, moles, wrinkles? Not everyone has all of these features, and some people have all of them and more. Everybody's face is different. Now, think about how your subject's head is positioned. When we're sad, we often hang our head low. When we're happy, we lift it up in confidence and curiosity. And what about when we're frustrated or confused or in love? How our subject is posed helps tell the story of that portrait. Finally, think about what your subject is wearing. Hats, scarves, accessories, jewelry, all help tell us a very specific story. Now that you've identified your subject, you know what they'll be wearing and how they'll be posed, think about your setting. Are they indoors, outdoors? What kind of room are they in? Are they under a tree, next to a river? What is the significance of your setting to the story that you're telling? How is the location significant to your subject? And what about other items that are in your setting? What do they tell the viewer about your subject? What time of day is it? Is it morning or night? How can you show that in your photo? Lighting can have a massive impact on the story that you're telling. And just like how lighting can have a massive impact on our story, color is also really important. Always be thinking about what colors you're seeing. Think about how that affects the mood, whether they're warm colors or cool colors, how they contrast or work really well together. You'll want to think about if your portrait is going to be in full color or black and white. Both can be very interesting. Just think about the goals of the story that you're trying to tell. The funny thing about portraits is not all of them are posed or planned. Sometimes we can't control what a person looks like or where they are even. And when they aren't planned, we call this candid photography. And photojournalism is a great example of candid photography, where they're taking photos of important places and events as they unfold in real time. However, if you do have control over the setting and what your subject is wearing and how they're posed, that's what we call a posed portrait, and that's what we're focusing on today. In posed portraits, many creative decisions are made to tell the story we want to tell. Who is the narrator of the story? Is it you, the creator? Or is it your subject, whose image you're capturing. Now together, let's think through all those elements that go into play when creating a portrait. Here's a neutral image of my face. It doesn't really tell you very much, does it? How can we tell the story that I'm tired and have been working on this art piece all night? First, I can use the parts of my face to show that I'm tired. I can relax my jaw, rub my eyes, and partially close my eyelids. Next, I can use my body positioning to further show I'm tired by leaning forward and hanging my head a little. Messing up my hair and putting on pajamas and my painter's apron will help me tell my story. Now, let's think about setting. I'm in my studio, but maybe I'm leaning against the wall or have a coffee cup right by me. The lighting tells us it's late at night and I need to go to sleep. See how all of these choices made a difference? There's so many creative decisions we can make to help illustrate the story we're telling. Look at all of this equipment that professional photographers use to take portraits. Now, all this gear is pretty expensive, but the great news is you don't need it. You don't need to spend any money to take good portrait photographs. You can use any camera you have access to, whether that's a camera phone, a disposable one, a point and shoot, or even an old Polaroid, anything you can get your hands on. Now, you'll need to find some light to play around with. The best news is the sun is everywhere and it's free. If the sun is not the best option for you, consider what else you have access to that creates light. Car headlights, flashlights, anything that creates light, you can use as a tool for your portrait photography. And now you know the basics of creating portrait photography. And remember, the most important part is that you're creating the story that you feel is important to share with the world. If you post your photos online, be sure to tag #MoonshotStudio. That way, not only can we see what you create, but you can see what others created as well. The ability for us as artists to share each other's stories is so important, and portrait photography is a great way to do that. So I hope that you continue with it, and thanks for hanging out.
Thanks, Chelsea. And thank you for watching. Be sure to check out other Moonshot at Home videos for arts activities that you can do at your home. See you next time, and remember to give it a shot.